Hey guys, it's Mr. Fanatic. Just this is a different video from the usual that I'm making. I'm just simply making this video just so that then I could tell you guys where the state of the channel is at right now, where I'm at, and just kind of in a way just recap the year of 2025, especially for this channel, especially since 2025 was its first year, and what to look forward to for 2026. So obviously, I started this channel back in what was it, September or October of this year, and it's actually been really amazing starting this channel because I had wanted to start doing YouTube all the way back in 2019, but I never really had like the courage to do it, mostly because like I was always like back then I was like so nervous with putting myself like out on camera and like just having like people watch me like talk and all of that right there. I was always just so nervous to do that. But one of the things that started happening was I started working in the film industry, because I do work on some like films, because I live like really close to, I don't live in LA County, but I live like close to LA County, and I have worked on some movies, and I have been like asked to like act in a few like really minor roles, like in a few really minor roles, and I feel like doing that actually has helped me like I guess become okay with finally making videos and actually like putting like my face on videos and actually like speaking in videos, because that was always one of the things is that I hated hearing the sound of my own voice in videos. Oops, I just knocked the table, and now like the whole thing, I just noticed it all just shaked. Um, yeah, but I finally started doing that, and now it's like now I can actually just make videos, and it's like much easier to do it. I would always say that the hardest part about making videos is always just like initially just starting it, because like I'm always like I like even to this day I still get kind of nervous about like, oh, like should I actually go through with making this video, like should I actually go through with it. But once I finally actually like go through with it, then it becomes like smooth sailing. It's so easy to make after that. um yeah, and so far, for this channel, like so far it still hasn't exploded yet like into anything big, but I wasn't expecting it to explode like into anything big in its first year. I mean that would be completely foolish to think that. And as of now, of course, like the majority of my content on this channel has been, of course, about the Chargers, which I will get to talking about them in a bit. I will get to talking about them in a bit. But there has been other content. Like I have like uploaded, I think, one gaming video, and I uploaded two story time videos. So I plan on uploading more videos like that, and also like other types of video. Like I plan on uploading like list videos as well, and even like short films as well, since that's all stuff that I really want to do. So of course, guys, just stay tuned for that. Now let's talk about the Chargers. Let's talk about the Chargers. Obviously, this year, I guess you could say this year has been a good year for the Chargers, because they made the playoffs. The playoffs haven't started. They start in January, but they made the playoffs. We're gonna see who we're gonna after this week. We're gonna see who we're gonna face, but it's looking like we're gonna face Jacksonville in the first round. It's looking like we're gonna have to face Jacksonville in the first round. So of course you have the Chargers in the playoffs, but I'd be lying if I say that I wasn't the that I'd be okay. I won't say disappointed, but I'd be lying if I didn't feel like we definitely left some on the table for the Chargers, because we went into this year, and the Chargers had executed in so many free agent signings, and I think that we were really set up to be really one of the better teams in the NFL, and we still are. Like the Chargers still are one of the better teams in the NFL, but I think with the injuries to the offensive line, specifically to Rashawn Slater and then later on Joel, I think it really derailed the season, and it really just held the offense back. I mean, if you watch any of the Chargers game, you can just tell just how much this offensive line just holds the entire team back, and that's the problem right there. The problem is that it's not enough that they're just mediocre, or heck, they're just bad and that's it. Like no, they are awful. They're awful. It's to the point where this is honestly one of the worst offensive lines probably in NFL history, if I'm being honest. Like, this offensive line is that terrible. In 16 games, they've given up 54 sacks. Like, and if you give up that many sacks, you are super terrible. Like, that's a terrible offensive line right there. And even with all of that right there, we still let many games slip from us. Like, there was the Giants game, our first loss of the year, where we just can't be losing to teams like that. Teams that at this point in the year only have 3 wins at this point in the year. We lost to the Commanders, which again, that's another team that only I think has like 3 or 4 wins. Like, we can't be losing to teams like that. That's gonna cost us the division and the chance for the AFC West. Now, granted, the Chargers towards the very end of the season did try to make a push for the AFC West, and they made a really strong push for it. But again, it just got to a point where it's like you can't ask a team to just win out like 6 or 7 games in a row to win the division. Like, that is just extremely hard to do, and that's asking a lot. That's why it's important to always win those games that you're supposed to win. But I do commend the Chargers for actually making that strong push. And it's actually good that I'm actually getting to this video a little bit later in the day, because I recently just heard the news that the Chargers are benching Herbert for this final game of the year, which I fully agree with the decision, because Justin Herbert is nursing an injury. He has an injured left hand. Luckily, it wasn't his right hand, because otherwise he would have been out for the remainder of the year. But it's his left hand that's injured, and they're benching him for this final game. And there is some disappointment to that right there, I guess, in a sense, because in case you don't know, the Chargers are actually 5-0 in one score game. All right, 5-0. They're 5-0 in the AFC West. So they are 5-0 in the AFC West. So if they win their next game against the Broncos, they would actually go 6-0 in the AFC West. And I think that would actually be the first time in their history that they would actually have gone completely undefeated in their division. I've seen the Chiefs and Broncos both go undefeated in the division. The Broncos went undefeated in the AFC West in 2014, I think. Yeah, 2014. The Chiefs did it in 2016, 2019, and 2022. And even the Raiders in 2010 did it, even though they didn't even make the playoffs that year. So it would have been just truly incredible to see the Chargers actually go undefeated in the AFC West this year. But unfortunately, it just couldn't happen, because like I said, we lost games earlier in the year that really hurt us, like the losses to the Giants and to the Commanders. But the thing is that despite all of that, you still just can't help but be impressed with Justin Herbert, with what he was able to do with this offensive line, and just how much how well he just played despite how terrible this offensive line was. And credit to QJ Quentin Johnston. I won't lie, his first 2 years I was calling him a draft bust. I was saying that I think this guy's a massive draft bust. I think we made a huge miss on him, but he is now proving me wrong. Like, he is absolutely proving me wrong. And and I admit that I was wrong. I was wrong, Quentin Johnston. Ladd McConkey, I don't think he's gonna have 1,000 yards like last year, but I still think he was just as good as he was last year. Just simply put, like I said, this offensive line just really made it hard for the offense to move the ball. One player that I've been particularly disappointed in has been Omarion Hampton, our first round pick. I just feel like in games where we need Omarion Hampton to step up, to rise to the occasion and step up, because our offensive line is so terrible, he doesn't do it. He only rises when the rest of the offense rises. If the rest of the offense rises, then he will rise. But if the rest of the offense is kind of struggling, then he won't be able to elevate his play. And I guess for now I would chalk it up to he's just a rookie and that's it. But next year has to be the year where he clearly shows that he can rise above the occasion, and he can show that he really is one of the top running backs that can rise when the rest of the offense is struggling. And and as for the defense, here's the thing. The funny thing was that the other day I was watching the 49ers and Chicago game. I was watching it with my brother, because my brother is a huge 49ers fan. And the entire time we were basically just constantly complaining about the Niners defense, because their entire defense is injured. Nick Bosa and Fred Warner are both out. But the thing is that I said this to my brother. I said this to my brother. I said to him, the thing is with the Chargers, they have one superstar defensive player, and that's mostly Derwin James. You could say Khalil Mack to a sense, but like he's kind of getting up there in age. But Derwin James is really their big superstar defensive player. But outside Derwin James, they have a bunch of other players who aren't necessarily like known at the national level like how Derwin James is, but they are still really solid and great contributors to a good defense in the Chargers. And that's what kind of the Niners needed. And that's what the Chargers have right now is that they have that yes, they only have like one superstar defensive player, but the rest of the players that surround him are so good and such solid players that even though the defense they did, I guess in a sense they did take a step back this year than they did from last year. That you can't help but give them so much credit, especially during that stretch between the Eagles and Chiefs when the offense was really struggling and they had to elevate their play. So I give the Chargers defense just so much credit. And I guess now the question is like moving forward, where does this team go? Where does this team go? Obviously, ever since Jim Harbaugh became the Chargers head coach, things have just changed so much. And it's such a huge change from when Brandon Staley was the head coach. I mean, I could not stand that guy one bit. Ask anybody who knows me, they will tell you that I could not stand him one bit. I could not stand him. Like, after that 27-0 game, I wanted him out of there. And I wanted Tom Telesco out of there as well. And, luckily now we got Jim Harbaugh in the building as the head coach. And he has just absolutely changed the culture of the team. Unfortunately, I have to be very blunt with you guys. I don't know if this team will make it to the Super Bowl this year. Just because, like I said, and it's just because that offensive line is just so terrible. It's so terrible. So and there's many teams in the AFC West that have strong pass rushers, and I just don't see the Chargers being able to win if they go up against those teams with strong pass rushers. Because we saw what happened in the Texans game where, yes, the Chargers were able to make it close towards the very end and had a legitimate chance of winning the game, but those early mistakes in the beginning of the game because the offense was really struggling came back to haunt the Chargers at the very end. And then, of course, there was Dicker the kicker, which, of course, you guys saw in my last video. You guys saw how the chip shots that he missed. That's not good. That's not good. But either way, I think the Chargers have had a great season. And it's truly, and it does feel nice knowing that finally, for the first time since I started watching football, because I started watching football back in 2014, it feels nice to know that the Chargers have finally made back-to-back playoff appearances since I started watching football. It's just what makes it kind of sad is that with Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement to play for the Colts, we had a chance to actually set up a situation where we beat the Texans, and then the Colts could have probably been more motivated to beat the Jaguars, and then the Colts could have probably beaten the Texans next week, and we could have actually had a situation where if we had beaten the Broncos, we would have probably gone the number 2 seed and actually faced the Colts, who were starting Phillip Rivers in the first round. And I really wanted to see that because Phillip Rivers was my favorite player growing up. I do plan on making a video about Phillip Rivers, about just how good he was, because I think there's a lot of people who often try to underrate him and try to make him seem like he was just this massive choker. I think there's a lot of people that do that right there. So I want to one day make a video when I feel like when my video making skills are much better, then that's when I'll make that video. But I want to make it to basically kind of just talk about Phillip, talk about how good he was, and talk about really what he meant to my childhood, because that was watching him play was a big part of my childhood growing up. So I really want to do that. I really wanted to see him in the playoffs. But it's just unfortunate that it's not going to happen. But ultimately, I've enjoyed this Chargers season. I've enjoyed, especially watching the defense just absolutely make plays for us. The one part I haven't enjoyed is the Chargers offensive line just completely just letting Herbert get hit all the time. That's the one thing I have not enjoyed one bit. But that's the Chargers season right there. I don't think I left anything out. I think I pretty much have said everything. The only thing is, I just hope that next year Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater can come back healthy, because we saw what the Chargers offense looks like when even just one of them is on the field, even when one of those offensive linemen is on the field. I mean, I mean, the stark difference for the Chargers offense in the 4 games that Joe all finished, which was the first game against the Chiefs, the first game against the Raiders, the first game against the Broncos, and the Vikings game, the stark difference in how the offense looks when Joel is on the field, when even just one of our top offensive linemen is on the field, compared to when they're not on the field, it is night and day. It is night and day. It is crazy. And that's why it disappoints me so much that our offensive line got injured, that our 2 top offensive line got injured, because I truly believe that if they had stayed healthy, we will have defeated the Giants, we will have defeated the Commanders, and I think we will have defeated Houston as well. We will have defeated those, we will have beat those 3 teams, and I think the Jacksonville game would have probably been much closer. It would have definitely been much closer. So like I honestly see us probably only having like 2 losses on the year if the 2 of them are healthy, because it is such a night and day difference. It is such a night and day difference. But yeah, but unfortunately, that didn't happen, and we have to kind of just accept what has happened. And I think the Chargers have done a good job of being able to navigate the terrible offensive line, because I said after the Jacksonville game, like, okay, we know we have a bad offensive line, so that's why this bye week we need to find a way to work around it. We cannot let it derail this entire season. We cannot let it derail it. And so far, I feel like, even though yes, in a sense it still has, because it's bumped us down from being like a legitimate Super Bowl contender to a playoff contender, it's the fact that we're still even in the playoffs with this terrible offensive line, that says a lot to just how good this team is, how good Justin Herbert is, and how great the culture that Jim Harbaugh has built around this Chargers team. So that says a lot. And I think this offseason, yes, we want Rashawn Slater and Joel to come back healthy, but we need to just go all out on the offensive line. All out, because if people want to also make the argument that the reason why Omari Hampton hasn't played well is because of the offensive line, all right, well, that's the reason why. We need to go all out on the offensive line, so that then not only Herbert can have time to throw and go back to throwing those deep balls down the field like how he did in 2020. We can also finally now give Omari Hampton the space to run the ball, and also we need to get Keami Vidal more. I've been a big fan of Keami Vidal. I think he's been absolutely terrific for us. But those are my thoughts on the Chargers. And of course, let me know if you guys disagree with anything I said about the Chargers. And as for this channel, what to look forward to in 2026, obviously, for only the first month, January, that's when the Chargers are going to be playing, because they're in the playoffs. But after that, they're not going to be playing, and I don't really feel interested in making analysis videos about who the Chargers could target in free agency. I'm not really interested in making that. I could make a video about their draft, and when the draft finally happens, I'll definitely make a video about analyzing their draft. But I'm not gonna act like I know anything about mock drafts or know anything about assessing players in college, because anyone could tell you that a player being good in college doesn't automatically translate to the NFL. So I'm not gonna try assess them, oh, this would be a good player, this would be good, but I'm not gonna try to do that. So it's just, so if they draft a player, I'll just I'll make a video about the draft, and I'll talk about their draft picks and what I think of them. But outside of that, for 2026, there's a lot of video plans I have in mind. Of course, I want to make, more story time videos. I also want to make other types of videos. I want to make some basketball videos as well, because I do also, really like basketball as well. And there's a certain video that I have in mind that I am going to start getting work on, because I want to release it within a timely manner. So stay tuned for that one, and stay tuned for the short films as well, since right now I'm currently having one of my friends edit the short film that we made back in, what was it, November. She's currently editing that and making it. So stay tuned for that, and there's gonna be more to come, so just stay tuned for all of that. And it's actually weird. This is, it's funny, because I actually recall back in 2019, I wanted to make these yearly recap videos where I just tell you guys, where the state of the channel is at and what to look forward to, and just I guess recap the entire 2025 year, recap the entire year. But now it's actually crazy to know that I'm actually here doing it. So just thank you to all of you that have subscribed and have watched and shared these videos. It means a lot. Of course, we're still a small community, but a small but mighty community. So thank you guys so much, and just stay tuned, because there's way more to come. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Oh yeah, and one more thing I forgot to mention is I'm sorry. I Oh yeah, and one more thing I forgot to mention is that I will not be doing a recap of the Chargers and Broncos game just because that game is virtually meaningless since the Chargers are rushing their starters and the only impact that game has is that it affects our seeding, which I would care about that, but then again, like the last two times we went to the playoffs, both times the Chargers got the preferred matchup that they wanted in the playoffs and they ended up losing in pretty humiliating ways. So like it's just one thing where like to me the seeding doesn't really matter at this point anymore. So yeah, so that's why I'm not doing a recap for the Broncos and Chargers game next week because that game is virtually meaningless. I will, however, and I am working on another video that I've been wanting to do for a while. So stay tuned for that one. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's actually pretty crazy to think that I've actually started the channel this year, and there were definitely many moments where life got in the way and I couldn't get certain recaps to you guys, and yeah, and I remember I just didn't like it when I couldn't get certain recaps to you guys. But just thank you for staying here with me throughout that. And I'm just hoping to build a bigger and stronger community in 2026. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, for finally becoming part of this journey, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.